have a reporter joining us in the last 30 minutes of the show today from Copenhagen to give us their take from a British perspective. We have climatologist Tim Ball joining us in an hour. We'll have open phones next hour. I have several clips of other world leaders calling for global government that are new that we're going to be playing. That's coming up. We also have a clip of Call of Duty, the best-selling video game ever. It's made like $500 million in the first 2 weeks it's been out, where it shows Russians carrying out a false flag attack to start World War III, just killing civilians. And people playing the game simulate being black ops staging false flags. This is how everyone's just being bathed in evil and being desensitized to commit acts of murder. We are a society being mind-controlled. But again, here is the exclusive interview I did last week in Dallas, Texas with Dave Mustaine. Invited us up to Dallas. The founder of Megadeth, of course, formerly with Metallica. His best-selling album out right now, Endgame. And this is an exclusive for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. We are live at PrisonPlanet.tv. And for all the radio listeners, you'll be able to, of course, hear the audio interview with Dave Mustaine. This is posted in even higher quality at PrisonPlanet.tv right now for members if you want to download it or save it. So here is the exclusive interview. We'll go to break and come back with the rest of it after break. But here it is, Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. On the radio, but to be with you in person is even better.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks for doing the interview.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be talking to you.
How's the tour going?
Well, the tour's been going really great. Machine has a great band. Play them on my station, and Suicide Silence is a new band that a lot of people are finding a lot of interest in, and the guys in the opening band, Arcadium, very interesting band too. I like the front man. He's very, very, very timid backstage. When he gets out on stage, he really, besides the fact he looks like he weighs about 80 pounds, he really has got a great persona, and I was surprised. So I think that band's going to have some good things if he eats a couple of cheeseburgers,
Endgame. It's getting just incredible reviews everywhere. I was in a coffee shop today and just opened up the Dallas Observer, and there were two just raving reviews saying it's one of your best albums ever and really avant-garde. What is the message of Endgame?
Well, a lot of people thought that that was signifying the end of my career because, I've got issues with my skeletal matters and stuff like that, with headbanging and stuff. And with the way that the music business is right now, with the record companies finally getting what they deserve, it's interesting because the music industry is falling as quickly as what we're talking about. Watching again, it's corporate greed in America because it's all the big conglomerate record companies, and like for example, EMI is owned by Thorn, from what I know, and they make the Warhead. So there's a lot of weirdness with who owns the record labels and stuff like that. I love EMI, but I had no idea. I talked to Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys, and I asked him to do a side project with me, and he goes, "No way, man, you're on EMI. Those guys make bombs." And I was like, "What?" So I had no idea. And of course he told me that Oldsmobile made machine guns for the Nazis too and stuff like that, which totally tripped me out, but I had no idea.
Well, pretty much everything in one way or another is a subsidiary of the military-industrial complex. It's been like that since the days of Eisenhower. So as long as the message is getting out, I think that's actually to the anger of the establishment. So.
Well, I had a guy from the UN actually call me up. If you could, well, not call me up, but he said something about United Abominations, and this shows you how pea-brained this guy was. At the very end, after he tried to discredit me, he says, "Besides, I'm a Metallica fan, anyways." And I thought, what a twat, because I am part Metallica. So what are you saying? That's like going up to somebody who's mulatto and saying they don't have white or black in them. I am part Metallica. So for him to say that, it just shows you why most of the people up there don't know what they're doing, because you have people that are representing stuff, saying childish things like that. That's sandbox mentality. You know what I mean?
Talk about endgame. You talk about these greedy, corrupt mega corporations. From your own research, what do you believe their endgame is?
Well, I believe it's the same thing you and I both believe. Me as a Christian, I believe that it's one world government, one world currency, and it's part of my belief. I said so in Holy Wars. It's part of the master plan. It's what I believe. I ascribed to that when I became a Christian. I know that there's going to be a cataclysmic ramping up of all of these things that we're seeing right now, and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse, and we're watching our country disintegrate right now, and it's scary. When I start thinking that I'm going to be moving with Sean Drover back up to Canada, that's scary. And that's what Endgame is all about. It's about educating our fans and showing them a little bit about what's going on within the previous administration, and things haven't changed at all, and it's just more of this whole people being run by the people who have the money. Something that when we had the dollars before and it had red ink on it.
Yes.
Tell me that story. I'd heard that was Kennedy was supposed to.
No, that's true.
He was going to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and he made the money with red ink, and that's part of like.
You can go into any coin shop, Dave, and say, "I want a Lincoln greenback issued by Kennedy," and you'll probably have to pay $20, $30 for it because it's a collector, and they'll go under the counter and they'll pull it out, and it has a red seal. But more importantly, and it was only fives. He only issued the first $4 billion. And when you read on the top of it, it says United States note. Nowhere does it say Federal Reserve. So it was pre-1913 when the private banks took over. And he signed the executive order to fully phase out, because he didn't want to do it overnight, because that would cause some problems, to fully phase out the private banks that had taken over the issuance of currency and credit. And from talking to all the top real researchers on JFK, it wasn't making the decision to pull it out of Vietnam. That was part of it. It wasn't the decision to stop trying to have war with the Soviets. It wasn't the decision to not continue the Bay of Pigs. The main reason they killed him was what you just said, because he was going to take the power away from the money changers.
That's what I heard.
In fact, I'll mail you a Lincoln greenback.
I'll take it.
That's when he got Lincoln killed. The Rothschilds and others came to him and said, "We'll loan you money at 30% interest to fight the war," which they were financing in the South for the British to destabilize.